when we usually have Portuguese-speaking fighters, certainly as of late, and they didn't have someone who can translate for them. We've had our good friend Luciana Andrade on the program. Well, this time, we don't have Luciana, who is a quasi-interpreter, if you will. We have maybe the greatest, best in the business, legendary, iconic, often imitated, never duplicated, inimitable, Fabiano Buskei, who, of course, you may know from the UFC broadcast. He has so much passion, so much emotion, so much zest, so much energy when translating. And these are the best because sometimes you have someone who makes it shorter. No, this is a real treat to have Fabiano join us. So he's going to be joining us to translate for Charles when he joins us in a matter of moments. But since we have this brief moment here, I thought it would be fun to have Fabiano on to talk about just how good he is at this gig. Fabiano, my guy, how are you? It is great to see you. Great to have you on.
First of all, I guess I owe you like $100 or something like that. If you want to be my publicist, I don't have one, so thank you. So I've never been. I need a wingman at the bars.
Yes,
it'd be great.
I would be happy to be that guy. I could be a great wingman.
Thank you.
You're so good at your job.
I'm going to Toronto next week. Actually, I'm going to Toronto next week for my full-time job. So why not?
Okay. What is your full-time job, by the way?
I work in the travel industry. I work in travel and tech. I work for a company out of Spain. It's based out in Orlando, United States, and I've been in the travel industry for quite some time. It's a company called Hotel Beds. That's out of it's a travel tech company. Yeah.
And they're okay with you moonlighting as the UFC translator guy?
I mean, I've said this many times. Many of those people are married. Many have kids. Many have pets. You allocate all that time that they spend on on family and pets, and all I have is football season and fighting. It doesn't even add up to what I have more free time than they do.
Yes, I heard you're a big NFL fan. Who's your team?
Yes, I'm an Eagles fan, so apologies in advance.
Eagles fan? Yeah, you one of those bandwagon jumpers?
No. I go back to the days of like the Fog Bowl.
Oh,
my first game.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of go. I go back to before the Bills even started going to Super Bowls.
Wow, what a shot there. You could have said losing Super Bowls, but I appreciate you say going. You just said going, not losing.
I was an exchange student actually when I came to America, south of Jamestown, New York.
Wow.
So the Bills have always been my AFC team. So just want to let you know that I was there. I know the pain.
That's very kind of you. And were you born in Brazil?
Born and raised in Curitiba, land of Shogun brothers,
yes.
Wanderlei Silva, where Anderson Silva trained, and so many others. Shoot the box, right?
Yeah, Chris Cyborg as well, I believe, right? Isn't it pronounced Curitiba? I always heard people say Curitiba.
What?
Right?
Isn't that amazing? It pays to have Luciana.
Yes.
I should take you down to Brazil so that you teach half of our country when they misspell it. They say Curitiba. Like, listen, it's Curitiba.
Yes.
That's the way.
Thank you.
You got it.
Yes, and I hope you know you have very big shoes to fill. I mean, Luciana has done a great job. I don't know if you've seen her work, but for someone who doesn't do this, typically not bad, right?
I mean, she just stepped on the role and just did it, and I think it's kind of a plot to get me out of the job. So, I mean, she wants to tackle the world, but hey, I just told her if she continues to do this, I'm gonna just put on some more revealing wear and become the UFC's first Octagon boy.
Yes, Octagon boy, that would be tremendous. I told her when she writes notes, she does I think a better job. Do you write down anything, or I know in the cage you don't do that, but like if you do like a longer thing, do you write, or is it all off the top of your head? And if so, what are the tricks to remembering, especially when the answers are very long?
When people ask me, I've been in the corporate world for quite some time. So you kind of, if you end up being, you may leave corporate for a gig or for a part of your life, but corporate never leaves you. So I put everything on a virtual PowerPoint presentation, and any names that are mentioned, I put it in caps. Any big important words that are said repeatedly, I put it in bold. I may put some verbs in italic if that's exactly how my friends and those who receive WhatsApp messages from me get those WhatsApp messages. I use all the resources, and I just hope to get through the slide, man. I just hope to get through the slide, because sometimes it's a broadcast. So
Yes.
apologies to all of those that, in moments I have, I didn't get through everything, but it's a broadcast, and where I tried, when I see things speeding up, I try to speed up and try to give as much context as possible.
And could I ask, how did you get the UFC job?
Luciana,
What a
she
mensch.
has known me for years. See, we're both from, listen, this is the ultimate. I've always believed in this, and I've always heard this from a lot of people. But when it finally happens to you, you understand. It really doesn't matter who you know. It matters who knows you.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I've been a translator for many years. I've always been into translating content. I've always into putting content to all three languages and actually trying to cover the Americas in all my jobs. I always went for languages. I pride myself in the way I enjoyed the culture, a culture that is sometimes, because of the relationship between Brazil and the United States, we don't see our brothers in Hispanic Latin America the same way. And I did very early on. I lived in Florida. So I speak the official language of Florida, which is Spanish. I worked for Disney for many years, in the guest service area. Again, being in corporate and being in travel, you really need Spanish. So I had all of that. When Luciana met me, we go back to bars in Brazil a long time ago. I've known her for it was going to be 15 years. I was actually working for a translating company with editing translations. I was working with editing literary and technical translations and corporate content. I was doing seminars in which, instead of having the guy be translated in the back of the room by simultaneous translators, I would learn what the product was about and the way, the mannerisms of the speaker. So I would actually do the same thing. So it wouldn't take twice as long for the seminar to go, but 1.5 times. And people really enjoyed it. It related to them, and I kind of looked like the guy. I was the product manager as well and the sales manager, so it helped. Even when I saw bars, and Luciana witnessed this many times, I was always many times I forgave the opportunity to enjoy nights, because to me the enjoyment was actually connecting people. So many times I've been in situations where the people didn't speak, and I was like the bridge, and I felt so proud of that. I've always liked it so much, and it became a job. And she knew about it. She knew I lived in Vegas. She knew I had a remote job, and she apparently saw some translations being done. She's like, you know what? He's a translator. I know that they were looking for a local because of the pandemic, the UFC wasn't traveling, and we knew we were going to be traveling for a while. So they always asked around, do you know people that are local? Do you know local resources to speak the language? She goes, well, I know this guy who speaks Portuguese, English, and Spanish, and some Italian. He lives in Vegas. He has a remote job. Be free, loves sports, and he loves sports. So it would be great. So, hey, here it is. And she asked for my resume, and in 24 hours, someone from the UFC got in touch and said, I really like your experience. Would you like to come in for a test?
Wow.
And the rest has been, it's been a wild ride. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am now. I would be talking to you. I wouldn't have this opportunity. It's amazing. Amazing.
It's an amazing thing, and it's amazing how much the fans love you and show you so much respect and admiration. Were you an MMA fan when you got the gig, or did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously not to the point that I watch every fight now, but it shows. I always call myself a first fight kind of guy, because there's so many Latinos that are putting the first fight of the card. So I'm going to be there regardless. Even if I have the sixth fight to cover, I'm always there. So I watch them all. I'm there for them all. I've called MMA for a long time the football of fighting. It's fast paced. It gives you 5 minutes to shine in 3 rounds or 5 rounds. It is the only instance in all the sports that people can say, hey, Tyreek Hill, let's put Tyreek Hill to run against Usain Bolt. They always talked about Chad Ochocinco against him, right? That's running. He's not playing football, right? That's a different story. You get a tight end against an NBA guy. They're going to do something, but they're not going to be doing the same thing. MMA actually gets people from different disciplines and different sports in the same place. It is the regimented Mortal Kombat like we saw when we were kids. It's amazing, and to have the opportunity to see and watch fights next to these people. I mean, I watch it next to Dean Thomas. I watch it next to Alan Jaban. I watch it next to Anthony Smith all the time. So you learn so much, and like that insurance commercial that says we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. You see things and you're like, oh my God, I saw that. And I saw that last week. And I saw that a year ago. And you start seeing it, in 3.5 years in, you've seen some things, right? You've seen some things. And I've been witnessing history, nothing short of history.
And which was your first event officially?
My first event officially was on August 22nd, 2020. It was a fight night. It was Munoz against Edgar.
Okay.
That was remote.
Yes.
That was remote. It was always remote. And every week there would be a new wrinkle to it. We were going to a hotel. We were being tested. Tests were being cleared. And Saturday morning, if you're clear, you'll be able to go to the Apex. And things started changing. And towards June of 2021, I was asked, would you like to travel? Would you be available to travel domestically for us? And there we are, Adesanya Vettori 2, Figueiredo Moreno 2, and look at it, Leon Edwards against Nate Diaz.
Yes, what a fight.
And we go to Glendale. And that event, this is the fun fact. The weeks before, we were already doing away with the whole going to the room and being remote. So I actually made it to the octagon a couple of times. The Brazilian fighter lost by decision. There was one fight that was actually close, and there was a knockout towards the end. And on that night, another Brazilian fighter lost. The first time I got into the octagon, there were 19,000 people. It was my first time going in there on camera, was to actually translate for the losing party, which is Deiveson Figueiredo, after he got rear naked choked by Brandon Moreno. And what a moment, because I got up there and I looked to my side and it's like Dana White, Joe Rogan, myself, and I'm like, hey, do it like Barry Sanders, like act like you've been there before, right? Yeah. So I looked at Dana and said, hey, first ever Mexican-born fighter champion. This is amazing. He goes, I know, right? He was like, oh my God, okay, I'm in. This is like, there's all right, the adrenaline, and an amazing. I saw the Davidson that many people got from the interviews. Like, he was very gracious, talking about the night that Brandon had. Brandon's family, an amazing unit there. All of them are coming to talk to Figueiredo, so I'm translating for them. Wow. And that became a quadrilogy. So that was my first event. Yeah, my first press conference was right outside of the arena. It was a couple blocks away in downtown Phoenix from the hotel. And that's when I got to see one Nate Diaz just pulling out some stuff. It was, I mean, that was a vibe. That prepared me even more for everything that
is amazing.
Fights.
Which is there a favorite one? Like a favorite moment that you were involved in, a favorite interview of, because there's such emotion, right? It's like incredible to be a part of that. There's only like 3 people involved, right? It's you, it's Rogan, it's the guy, usually Rogan or Cormier or someone like that. Is there a favorite one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it wasn't even in the octagon. It was outside of it. McGregor Poirier. So that was the first of all, an amazing moment, as it is, right? To actually see that fight. First one in T-Mobile after the pandemic. And Charles is there with the belt. And now these people, I work with them, but this was a voice of me saying, hey, there's going to be a producer named Jimmy coming to you, and he's going to bring Megan O'Leary, and you guys are going to go live afterwards. And John Anik is going to kick to Megan, and he's going to interview Charles. And because obviously the winner of this fight is most likely going to face Charles. It's like, okay, so no problem. Now I work with Jimmy all the time. Big Giants fan, so it's easy to work with a Giants fan when you're an Eagles fan.
Great guy.
Both Giants fans, including Megan, also Giants fan. So I go in there, and as all that's happening, as you hear McGregor talk, as he's being taken out, this interview is actually on YouTube. Like, that's when I met Charles. That's when I met
That was the
Charles.
first time.
That's when I first time I translated for Megan, which now, I mean, all the time, just it's amazing. She was so gracious because she understood that I actually asked her to repeat a question live. She said, dude, I could barely hear myself. And she had the thing to hear. Charles is hearing whatever we're saying to him. So I have the responsibility of hearing her. And I'm hearing McGregor talking, people yelling. This moment, actually, if you look on YouTube, is actually what the broadcast version is, with the cameras shifting to McGregor being taken out. Poirier's making his way out of the octagon, and they're interviewing Charles. And that was the first time I met him. And that, well, let me tell you, there's an aura there, because I told people for months, I'm like, I don't know what that man has, man, but it's just the way he looks at you, the smile on his face. And we come from very different backgrounds. So I'm as a public relations guy, that was my degree. To hear someone that comes from where he comes from be so, assertive when he talks, just be so clear when he talks, the message is out there. And it was like, oh my God, were you born media trained or something? It felt really amazing. And I told a lot of people that was like, I just wanted, it was a vibe. I mean, plus he had the jacket on, and he had the belt, and he had the shades on. It was like a Deion Sanders moment almost. It was like prime.
I love all the football references. You wouldn't expect that from someone who's born in Brazil. I would imagine it would be football, like football, those references.
I know.
Neymar, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, someone like that. But I like that. You're fully American.
Yeah,
now. You're fully
been jaded. I became an American citizen this year, actually.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Congratulations. That's and just curious, when you find out if you're going to an event, how soon or how close to the event do you find out?
I tend to use my corporate approach. So the person that's my contact internally, I've always been one to actually kind of send him whenever rumors or ever fights are being, because he's worried about what's actually on paper, like what's on paper and what's confirmed. He has to worry about so many other, as a senior or producer of events. So basically about 5 months out, I just basically look at what's going on, what's confirmed, and I send it out full of flags and like who the fighter is. They're the ones that I know of. I do my research to say, hey, this one might need it, might not need. And I always tell people, I write long messages. I say, like, when you get to it, that's a reference message right there. And then we have a code, which is plan on it. So okay. I now go plan on it with a question mark, and he goes plan on it. So that's I made a joke about like China, for example, like, I'm scheduled to go to China because they put 3 Brazilians against the 3 fights that, at least for now, are scheduled, are 3 Brazilians against 3 Chinese fighters. And I just said, I sent all the 3 when they kind of got announced. I was like, man, if you wanted me to go to China, all I have to do is ask. Yeah, so it has to, there's a visa process and stuff, but it's usually about 4 to 5 weeks before.
Okay.
But obviously, if it has to do with my job, I do have a full-time job again. So I always, if there's something related to it, I always let them know, like, listen, there's this event I need to go through. There's these meetings I have to go to. I have to give an answer. It's going to be in person. So what can we do about this?
So I think in the last 6 or 7 months, Charles has been on twice, prior to the Vancouver card and then afterwards, once this fight was announced. And both times we had Luciana translating. Both times, by the way, I've heard of something called Brazilian time. There's both times, by the way, he was like prompt, early. Here he is 22 minutes late. Do you think it's because you're translating and Luciana's not? I'm trying to understand what's going on here.
I mean, it's a tremendous downgrade, so I don't blame him.
But I think we have located him. We're just trying to get him. There was something wrong with his phone or something like that. So we're working. In case you were wondering if I was tricking you and that Charles wasn't coming on, even though this has been great. I'm actually happy because I told the guys I wanted to have time either before or after to learn more about you and your story. And so you could also do Spanish as well. I mean, is that?
Yes. So, been working
Italian?
in Spanish for 25 years. Yeah, Italian is I always say that, Italian is Italy's second most spoken language, because the first one is like a dialect where people speak at home. So Italian is more like I would say if I had to go to the octagon to translate Italian, it would be a tough task. But I prepared myself so much. Like there are instances where I was ready to translate corner, and the fighter ended up losing. And there was a particular fighter that he was going to I was going to do corner only because he speaks English, and I just listened to his coach. I mean, if Google ever looked into my search history, like what is wrong with you? Are you obsessed with this man? The coach is a fascinating person, by the way. Great story, great history, and I was just basically trying to get a hold of his accent and just try to, because I was going to have to listen to him in a corner, right? And Italians yelling are a different breed. So I was like, okay, so this how he's a co-man, and fighter ended up losing in the first round, so I never got to it. But yeah, Italian family. I have 3 passports. I'm an Italian citizen as well.
That is incredible. Yeah. Have you so have you done a Spanish one yet? Correct me for not.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you
yeah.
have? Okay.
No, I do. I've been doing Contender. My third series, my third season of Contender. I do a lot of stuff for UFC Español. I've helped out with many things there, so I do all the media days. I actually work out of my regular job, out of the Apex on Wednesday.
No
I take
way.
my laptop, so I get there early.
Wow.
I get there early, come out late, and I'm just there. I'm like, hey, listen, the just shift of some conference calls. People are very understanding of that, and I just go and I've been helping them out a lot. Great people at UFC Español. Great people.
Oh my gosh, look at you. So in total, is it possible that you're spending more time on UFC stuff than your regular job? No, that's not possible, right?
No. It's just that it shows so much because it's there. But if you think about it, I never stop. I never stop. Like right now I'm in Dubai because we were in Abu Dhabi, so I just extended the trip a little bit and kind of stayed here. So tomorrow, for example, I'm going to our offices in Dubai. We have offices in Dubai. Going to meet with some people that I've never met in person. One that I know that is setting up the meetings, and then I'll work some more here. And then there's one of our directors actually coming in for a 10-hour layover in Dubai. So we're going to go out to dinner or something. I never stop.
Wow.
I never stop.
And are you doing MSG?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So you get to do all the big cards.
How crazy is that, huh?
Freaking Madison Square Garden. You get to be in the freaking Mecca.
I know. I was, you don't understand. As someone who was a Jordan fan, I mean, okay, I pissed some people off because I was walking up to people in the Garden, and first of all, the people at the Garden are iconic, right?
Yes.
The first thing that I heard from a Garden employee, the jacket, it's just all the people that I saw on TV for years. He goes, "How you doing?" Like he actually said, "How you doing?" I was like, "Oh wow, all right." And I just kind of like told some of our young people in like production and audio, I was like, hey, just take it in right in front, like next to MSG employees. Like, this is the place where Michael Jordan scored 55 a couple times in his career. Just best. They said, let's take it in, man. And they're like, shut up. Like I heard. They were Knicks fans.
Yeah,
so
double nickel. Someone is calling. I'm just gonna answer this right now with you on the air here, Fabiano. Someone is calling me who I think it's Charles calling me right now on my phone. Let's see.
Put on speaker.
Hello? Hey, Charles. Hey, what's up? We're going to call you now to do the interview. I have Fabiano here, and we're trying to call you. Can I call you on this number right now? Yes? We're going to call you right now. Don't go anywhere. How do you say?
Vamos ligar para você daí, Charles. A gente vai ligar para você. A gente vai ligar para você. A gente vai ligar para você daí. Vamos ligar nesse telefone. I can't hear him.
Oh, damn. I don't know how to do. Okay, you're telling him not to go anywhere?
Fica aí, vamos ligar. Fica aí, a gente vai ligar nesse telefone que você tá? Fica aí que a gente vai ligar nesse telefone.
Okay, he hung up. Guys, you got to call that number. They're telling me no one ever called. I don't know what's going on here. That was great work on your part, by the way. Guys, you got that number?
We have the number.
I mean, we're wasting Fabiano's time. I'm sorry about this, Fabiano. We're usually a pretty professional.
No problem, man. It's my day off for work. I'm on PTO today.
We're usually a pretty professional operation.
Yes, you are. Yes.
I'm gonna blame Brazilian time. What do you think of that? Is that fair?
Yes.
Probably not.
I always do. I always tell people I'm not late. I'm just there when I get there.
Yes. Guys, do you got that number? Sorry about this.
Yes, they're calling right now.
Okay, all right. Making me sweat here. But, we got to learn all about Fabiano, about his fandom of the Eagles. This is tremendous stuff. And I love, what about people online are so mean. They're so nice to you. No one gets mad at you. Do you get people who are like, you didn't say that correctly? I'm sure you get some hate. Oh, you do get those?
Yeah. I've looked for those, and actually, just and a word of advice. Who am I to say this? I deal with people that put their lives, in out there in the octagon and their well-being. People like you that are just actually making shows happen. Your producers that they're calling people. I mean, I just step in when I'm needed. Nothing can compare to our commentators and our reporters, but I had that hate in my first fights, and I made the mistake of doing some searches that will lead to that opinion. I have had people that use celebratory posts that I did after a long time on LinkedIn. People that were connected to me on LinkedIn, that they used the comment on LinkedIn. They were connected, first level connections with me, that said, "Hey, man, love to be a part of this. I feel that a lot of stuff is lost in translation in Spanish. Call me up for Spanish translations." I was like, man, my Spanish speaking friends like, I want to beat up that dude. I don't know why people
trying to
entitled than a keyboard.
People are trying to ruin. They're jealous for your success.
It was just people just, the stuff that they say. So I mean, look at what they say to women when they're on air. Like the first thing that they talk about is what they're wearing, how they're looking. It's like it's never it's keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
People are never happy. But I'm so fortunate because people have been very, very positive. I'm taking the positivity in. People are so nice to me when they see me, when people recognize me, which is still mind blowing. But it's funny. It's funny. Like to go through the weirdest situations, man. Go through like TSA, and I
people
just
recognize
went by. Like I went through TSA, like I got global entry, TSA free and stuff like that. I go in very calm time at Harry Reid. I'm leaving, and one of the guy after I go through, pick up my bag and stuff. The guy goes, "Hey man, champion has a name."
Wow, that is amazing.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's funny. It's pretty funny.
That was a great one, but now I feel like Charles almost doesn't need a translator because he's starting to learn.
I know. I'm telling you, this is like a global plot to take me out. They want to make me redundant.
There is something to that though. Like all he has to say is the champ has a name or whatever he said in Vancouver, and people just fall in love with the fighter even more. Like just look when Khabib started to speak a little bit of English, people felt, you know what I mean? There is some. I'm not trying to take you out of a job, but there's something to that.
But by the way, that was a surprise. Let people know that was a surprise. I did not know that was happening. His team is great. They really went through it. Charles is someone that, as we all know, is someone that's not afraid to go after the unknown, to come back from things, to learn new things, to become a different person. Why not this? And he just, I mean, those sentences, it wasn't like he just said a couple of things. There was like 6 sentences there.
Yes.
And we were just so surprised, kind of looking at each other. But especially with like, it was kind of like a compound thing. A couple weeks before like Natalia Silva, and then Karina Killer. It's like, what the heck? Like, girls, what's up? Like,